Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for watching. Uh, this week's gonna be a little different. Last week I went out to the Davis Mountains, and if you've seen that episode, you see I just flew the drone around a little bit, and just made a short little video of that. But the reason I went out there was for the dark skies. I wanted to do some Milky Way shots, and a buddy of mine asked, "Hey, did you do a YouTube video of you doing your Milky Way shots?" Well, no, because I'm really bad at YouTube and I honestly didn't think about it, but I should have. So anyway, I thought, hey, I might as well make a video now and kind of show you what I did and kind of go through the steps of doing that. But you don't need a fancy camera to do Milky Way shots. You can actually do Milky Way shots on your cell phone. So you just need to download an app that will allow you to uh, set the exposure settings, the shutter time on your app or on your camera, and then that way you can open the shutter and leave it open and then capture all the light from the Milky Way. So a couple of things you're going to need. You're going to need a good tripod. You're going to need a way to hold your phone or your camera onto that tripod. And then let's go through a couple settings here. So the first thing you want to do is you want to take your camera here and set it to manual focus. The reason for that is during your exposure, you don't want the camera hunting for focus. You want it to stay exactly where you have it. And then you want to set your exposure or your focus to infinity. So all the way out. Next thing you want to do is take it off if your camera, if your lens has vibration control or stability control. You want to take that setting off too. You don't want any kind of breathing during that shot. Okay, next thing you want to do is figure out which or what focal length you're going to use. I used a 16 to 24 millimeter lens, so what you do is you take 500 and divide that by your focal length. So that gave me, at 16, that gave me roughly 25 seconds, round to the nearest number. So I know that I can leave my shutter speed open for 25 seconds. And the reason for that is the Earth is moving. If you leave your shutter open too long, you're going to start getting star trails and streaks. When you look at your image, you want to be able to zoom in and see that there is the stars are all little points of light. You don't want to see little streaks of light going across your image. If you get that, you know that your settings are your shutter speed's too long. Uh, the other thing you want to do is take your aperture, your f-stop, and point it down as far open as you can get. So my lens there that I use is a 2.8. So you want to set that all the way to 2.8. If your lens goes only to 3.2, go to 3.2. Uh, so the that's just going to draw in more light. That's bigger area for it to draw in. The last thing you want to do is you set your ISO. And ISO, it depends on your camera. Some cameras handle noise better than others, but I find that 6400 is a good starting point. And then what the ISO does is it's drawing in, it's picking up more of the light. So there's three ways of picking up light in the camera: it's your shutter speed, your aperture, and your ISO. And ISO is basically how sensitive to that light it's going to be. So the bad side about ISO is the higher ISO, the more noise you're going to get. So your photos will look a little bit grainy, which is okay if you have a way to remove that noise in post. So there's a lot of softwares out there that will deal with that and allow you to take the noise out of that photo. The longer focal length you have, the shorter your exposure. So if you're shooting at 200, well, you might only get 6 seconds of exposure out of that. If you're shooting at 500, you might only get 1 second of exposure out of that. And then you have to start stacking photos, which we're not going to do with Milky Way shots. Milky Way, you don't have to stack any photos. If you can leave your shutter open for about 25 seconds at 16 millimeters, you're going to get a lot of light captured for that amount of time. And your images should turn out pretty good. So I think that about wraps it up. I'm going to leave you with my images that I got from the trip. I was really happy with them. I thought they turned out pretty good. And I hope that you like them. I hope that you give it a shot. Oh, one last thing I should mention is there is a Milky Way season, and I should have looked that up before I started this video, but like I said, I'm really bad at YouTube. Uh, Milky Way season, I believe, goes from April till around October. It's about 6 months. And what I mean by the season is the Milky Way will go behind the Earth to where you can't see it well at night. Part of the you can see part of the Milky Way, but you know the galactic core hides behind the sunset, or during the daytime is, I guess it would be more visible. Um, One other thing, you can use there are several apps out there that will track the night sky, and it will tell you when you use the app. I think I use Starry Sky. It'll tell you where, not only where your object is that you want to capture, but where it's going to be at in the sky when you decide to capture that. The best time to do Milky Way photos is when there's a new moon. So the reason I went out last weekend was it was the beginning of the new moon. So there's going to be no moon and no extra light to interfere with the pictures. If you got a moon and you're trying to do Milky Way pictures, well, that light from the moon is going to wash out your Milky Way, and it's not going to look too good. So uh, October or August was about the last time you could do it and not have to wake up super early. I was able to get my start shooting it around 10:15, 10:30, and I was probably done by 11:30 with all the shots I took. So you don't have to stay up terribly late. Into September and October, you'd have to get up a little bit early in the morning, maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, to do your shots. So that's something to think about and plan. So anyway, I think that's it. I think I covered everything. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Maybe hit the subscribe button, hit the like button for me, leave me a comment. If you got questions, leave me a comment. I'll try my best to answer them. So I appreciate you guys sticking around, and we'll see you next week.